first came to London, I think like a lot of people, we were very influenced by the things that we saw on TV. You know, for me, as I've shared with many of the chums on here, I was fascinated by things like, you know, the Flaxton Boys. Do you remember that? That was a sort of, you know, sort of Edwardian period drama. There was all, I don't know why I like that particular era, but I did. And then, of course, along came the repeats of Upstairs, Downstairs. And I thought this was terrific. 165 Eaton Place. And there you were, of course, all these wonderful characters enriching each other's lives, working together, but having the security of living in one of the most, you know, sort of palatial areas of London. And it was all found, you know, you didn't have to worry about rent or rates or anything like that. All you had to do really was work for a titled family. And I thought, well, this isn't a bad thing, you know, this doesn't look too bad. And of course, when you come to London, you think, well, eventually I'll end up living somewhere like that. It's funny how dreams work out, isn't it? But of course, when you look further and further in London, and this is what I like to share with you on this channel, is little bits and pieces that you find out and you think, oh, I didn't know that, or that was fascinating, because we watch things, don't we, whether it be Poirot or Morse or whatever, and then we want to go to the places that we've seen on TV, the brilliance of Oxford or Heartbeat in North Yorkshire and stuff like that. But in this beautiful area here, in the very heart of London's sort of west, as it were, West London, well, there's a bit of a secret, and I thought I'd share it with you. And it has a bit of a royalty theme attached. Yes. Westminster Gardens. It's literally minutes away from Bayswater Road, a very busy thoroughfare, of course, in West London. The sort of place that you need to go towards Shepherd's Bush or the opposite way to the likes of Oxford Street, Selfridges, that sort of thing. This area in the 1800s would have been a very privileged area indeed. As you can see, all the houses were big, and that's simply because they had large families, and more importantly, they had a lot of servants too. This would have been your London townhouse. You know, it wouldn't have been your main residence. You would have had a country pile somewhere, perhaps in Hampshire or Oxfordshire or somewhere like that. A pile being, of course, another mansion. This was, of course, how rich people were. And these particular houses sprung up literally in the late 17 and 1800s. And it was the sort of place, you know, the des res, desirable residence, that is, that everybody wanted to live in. You know, it was the main thing. But way back in the 1800s, there was a brand new thing coming and happening, as there always is, right? And this was the advent of not just the British Railways, but of course the London Underground. Now, when you think about it, we take it for granted to go on the subway or wherever we are today. Imagine this in Victorian England. You're going to travel underground with candles for light and literally in the dark if the candles go out. Now, this was a problem, as you can imagine, to try and convince people, even when they started with the idea of the Metropolitan line. The bigger picture was really that by the time they needed some very much public endorsement, that was from the Queen, Queen Victoria, and various members of the British monarchy. If it was safe enough for them, even though she only went a very short distance from Paddington, it was going to be safe enough, well, for others. But these two doors here, can you see behind me, and the building that you see now on your screen? Well, these two doors and windows, the whole frontage is completely fake. That's right, it's a secret here in London that not many people know about. But as ever, it was all to do with money. Yes, to the 1860s when the Metropolitan line was first being constructed. And you'll have the answer as to why these two places are, well, completely fake. Much of the line was constructed using the cut and cover method. So instead of digging a tunnel below, the tunnel was dug from above and then covered over, meaning that yes, the houses 23 and 24 were simply destroyed. Local council decided that this would look something of an eyesore, and really they said, well, look, we're not going to allow you to do this. But in course, to keep up appearances with the surrounding street, which is of course a rather grand street with listed buildings, authorities decided to rebuild these, well, fake houses, which is why they exist today. Now, other than that, people say, well, why? Well, the simple reason was, as you can see from the picture in the back, they needed the gap so that the smoke could come out, because obviously ventilation was very, very poor at that particular point. What was really intriguing about this was the fact that even then the council decided you had to, well, keep the look of the place, you couldn't make it look like an eyesore. Naturally, money was involved, lots of money, and so the fake two houses remain to this day. In fact, if you're a fan of the TV series Sherlock, which stars Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman, you'll know that this has been featured in the TV series more than once. And even today, people have no idea, they kind of can't understand why it jumps from the numbers. And it's only when people are looking for houses around here that they think, oh, okay, this is kind of rather novel. Now, moving forward, as I said, the real turning point for this was, at that point, the council couldn't actually get planning permission, because at that point, people didn't really believe that the Metropolitan line, the brand new London Underground, was actually going to take off. It was seen as a bit of a fad. It might work, it might not, Why should we demolish two houses just on speculation? But as ever, money talks, and money certainly did talk, and the council got a hefty fee for the London Underground to proceed forward. And as I said, a quick visit from Queen Victoria, well, if it was good enough for royalty, it was simply good enough for everybody else. So if you were around this area in London and you want to take a look and think, is that really a house? Well, behind these fake windows and those two fake black doors, well, no. But there's a hotel next door now, which would have been very much private houses, and you can stay there if you like. Of course, the people who lived in those houses are now long gone and sadly forgotten, but they were part of history. They helped shape what became, as we now know, the London Underground. It's a strange thing, isn't it? I think they should have something of a blue plaque or something like commemorative thing, because if they hadn't agreed to move, money or no money, then how would they have done that part of the line? Interesting, don't you think? Of course, it's always lovely to share these little secrets of London with you when I get the time. I'm glad, hopefully, that you enjoy them. If you could please like and share and comment. And if you could, would you be now rooting out this if you come to London? You see, there's secrets everywhere. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.